Welcome to the video tutorial of the Minimal Pairs Academy. My name is Barbara Fernandez, and my goal today is to guide you, if you already own the app, on how to utilize the app with your students or your child. Or if you don't already own the app, my goal is to show you around the app so you can know how this app can help children that are having phonological disorders develop and improve their speech. Minimal Pairs Academy is based on the concepts of minimal pairs. They have to first be able to identify the differences in the sounds for them to be able to pronounce them correctly. In order for us to do that, there are specific ways to achieve that goal. So let's go ahead and show how the app allows you to work on speech using minimal pairs. Let's go ahead and select to enter the app. As you can see, I have 5 players here already on the app. I can either edit by tapping on that green button, or I can add a new one. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to go ahead and add a new player. Here, I'm going to enter a name and tap done. And here's a cool thing. Children that are struggling with phonological disorders will exhibit some phonological processes. They're all displayed here. The most typical phonological processes are the reason why children are having difficulty with pronouncing certain sounds. One example here is children that have cluster reductions. So instead of saying frog, they say fog. Instead of saying sleep, they say sip or lip, because they are reducing that cluster. So here, if I select cluster reduction L or an S, I'm going to be able to work on this difficulty with a child. If you are a parent watching this video, you might want to consult with your speech language pathologist or the therapist of your child on which processes your child is currently struggling with or is still presenting, so that you know which ones to work with at home. I'm going to select a couple other ones here. At the bottom here, you see we have auditory bombardment, auditory discrimination, production, and phrase completion. These 4 options are different activities. Children usually go in this they progress through these 4 different activities to be able to correctly produce a word. And I'm able to select more than one activity at a time. The app will just cycle through those activities every time you open the app. First, I want to show you auditory bombardment. Auditory bombardment is when we allow the child to listen to that word so that they know what the word sounds like, so that they can, in the future, produce it correctly. If you don't know what it sounds like, you're not able to pronounce it correctly, right? What we have to do now that we have entered the students is select the students to start an activity. This app is designed slightly differently from most apps that are working on speech production, because here we add the goal per student. So for example, Jim here, he was working on certain goals and they've all been mastered. You can see he's still working on stopping of the fricatives SH for auditory discrimination. And this is why I'm going to select 2 students to start.
Stick.
You heard the word stick. For children that can read, you might want to remove this text here, and we can turn off display written target. Go back, and we can replay that audio.
Stick.
You just heard the word stick. For some children, they might have difficulty recognizing that word, but our goal is to get the child to tap on that image that represents the word stick.
Yeah! Stack. Yeah! Spoke. Yeah! Slow.
As you can hear, all these words have a cluster L bland on the word. So you have slow, stick, steam.
Yeah! Space. Yeah! steam,
Our goal is to make sure the child is hearing the ST or SM group of sounds.
yeah, rise, yeah, right, yeah, rich, yeah, rail,
One thing that I want to point out, this is an activity that we selected 2 children. If you are a speech language pathologist, you usually do therapy in group. If you do an individual therapy, this is not an issue for you. But if you're in group, you're able to actually tap to switch between students. So the students will take turns based on their goals that you have selected.
rail, yeah, rage, yeah, red, yeah, stool,
So now Angela's taking her turn for identifying her words. So this was the auditory bombardment activity. I have returned here to the main menu because I want to show you guys that whenever children master the auditory bombardment section, we can come back and double tap on that student and select a different activity. You can see here Victor has moved on to auditory discrimination and he's working on gliding the R's and stopping the fricative SH. So I'm going to select him, but I also want Alice to work on this activity and I'm going to get Alice to work on production of gliding L's and gliding R. So let's go ahead and select 2 students again. On this activity, you'll be able to see the students taking turns with different goals.
rock,
Now, this is Victor's turn, and you can see he's working on auditory discrimination, which is a different activity. It said the word rock. You will tell the student which one is rock, and he can tap on the audio button under each image to be able to identify the sound.
rock, walk,
Rock, walk. For children that are gliding the R, when they try to say the word rock, for example, I'm going to a rock concert, they say, I'm going to a walk concert. So it's
walk,
is it walk
rock,
or is it rock? Oh, it's rock.
rock,
Whenever you're ready, you can tap on the next so that Alice can take her turn. Now, Alice is already moved on. She has already moved on to production of gliding the R's. You can say, Alice, what is this here? And she says ring. You can tap the got it. And you can go move on to the next one. If for some reason Alice had said wing, you can go ahead and tap on the other card.
wing,
Wing. Did you mean ring
ring,
or wing?
wing,
Oh, I meant ring. And if she says it correctly, mark got it. If she didn't say it correctly, you can tap missed. If you needed to give her some cues or needed to be, if she only got correct after your repetition, after your correct pronunciation, you can mark almost. Now, Alice took her turn. We go to the next.
ray,
Ray. Now, Victor is taking his turn and try to identify the word ray. He has to be able to listen and discriminate ray
ray,
from
way,
way.
ray, way,
Did the app say ray or way? Which one, Victor? And Victor will hopefully tap on the correct one.
ray,
Ray. Now we move on to Alice again. This is another production activity because this is where Alice is at. If it's your own child, you can also take turn between the activities by selecting both activities on that child's profile, and I'll show you guys how to do that. I'm going to tap done here. Before I show you guys how the app is tracking data, I want to give you an example of a one-player activity, which happens a lot for parents. So whenever Victor is ready,
rock,
I apologize for that. So let's modify here Victor's goals. And one cool thing in this app is, okay, Victor, let's say that Victor has mastered stopping up the fricative, but we need to work on gliding L's and gliding R. But he needs to work this in production. went through the phase of auditory bombardment. He went through the phase of auditory discrimination and really did that well. Now we are on production, but we're also going to do some phrase completion activities. Now we're going to start the activity with Victor. Victor, what is this image represented of? Can you say the word risk?
Risk.
Whisk.
Whisk.
Oh, did you mean to say whisk?
Whisk.
Or risk?
Risk.
Oh, I meant to say risk. Good job, Victor. Yeah! Let's try the next activity.
Ray.
Ray.
Way.
Way.
Red.
Red
Wed.
or wed?
Red.
Can you say red?
Red.
Red. Another incredible tool we have here is a voice recorder so that Victor can listen to himself say either wed or red. Since we selected 2 activities for Victor, you saw that activity was the activity of production. Now let's make sure we're going to try a phrase completion activity. And this really is where we try to push their production to the next level. Nobody says words in isolation. A lot of times when we communicate in phrases and sentences, or even longer in conversation. There is a phrase here, she broke the first blank of the test.
Rule.
Rule, she broke the first rule of the test. And now you can get Victor to actually read that phrase or that sentence and correctly use the word rule. I was filled with blank when I heard the news. I was filled with rage?
Rage.
Or wage?
Wage.
If Victor's still having issues gliding, he will say, I was filled with wage.
Wage.
But what we want him to say is, I was filled with
Rage.
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 We have completed the activity. And let's take a look at what the app is doing on the back end. The app is tracking data every time the child works on their goals. So this is the results specifically for Victor. You can see here his name. You can see here all the dates that he worked, the different tests, the accuracy. We can take a look at the graphs. For example, this is specifically for gliding R. He didn't really work on stopping fricatives. And here you have his statistics, which is a general statistics of his age. He has had 8 sessions with the app, and he spent a total number of 54 minutes using the app. This is a great visual for sharing with parents that you can tap share. If you hold to unlock, it will compile all this information in an email that you can share with parents. Thank you so much for watching the video tutorial of Minimal Pairs Academy. My name is Barbara Fernandez. I'm a speech language pathologist, and you can download this app directly on the App Store, just like as you would with any other app.